Sometimes life feels like a battle you never signed up for. You're doing your best, but nothing seems to work. Doors stay closed, people walk away, and your soul feels tired, but maybe, just maybe, it's not falling apart. It's falling into place. We live in a world that constantly tells us to hold on, to fight harder, to stay longer, to prove our strength through endurance. We are taught that letting go is giving up, that walking away means failure. But the truth is, sometimes the strongest, wisest, and most courageous thing you can do is simply let go. Letting go doesn't mean you didn't care. It doesn't mean you weren't committed or loyal. It means you finally realized that your peace is more valuable than your pride, that your sanity is worth more than another apology, and that your heart is too precious to keep handing to people or places that don't honor it. We cling to things long past their expiration. We hold on to people who drain us, situations that stun us, jobs that break us, and habits that numb us, not because they nourish us, but because we're afraid of what life looks like without them. We confuse attachment with love. We mistake routine for purpose. And in doing so, we start to betray ourselves in the name of being strong. But that's not strength. That's survival. And you weren't born just to survive. You were meant to live fully, freely, and intentionally. Letting go is not a sign that you've failed. It's a sign that you've grown. It's what happens when you outgrow the version of you that tolerated chaos just to keep the peace. It's what happens when you choose healing over history, clarity over confusion, and peace over pressure. You begin to understand that not everyone and not everything is meant to walk with you into your next chapter. And when you accept that, you make space for joy, for truth, for alignment, and for love that doesn't require you to shrink or suffer to keep it. There's wisdom in knowing when enough is enough. There's power in recognizing when your soul is tired and choosing to rest instead of pushing forward into more emotional burnout. There's clarity in acknowledging that just because something once served you doesn't mean it still does. And while society might applaud hustle and struggle as markers of determination, true inner strength comes from having the discernment to walk away from what no longer fits your life, your growth, and your calling. You don't need to keep proving your worth by staying in hard places. You don't need to keep giving your best to what keeps giving you its worth. There is no trophy at the end of a relationship or a season that broke your spirit. But there is peace in the release. There is lightness in letting go. And in that letting go, you discover a version of yourself that was buried under the weight of trying to make it work. Let go. Not out of anger, but out of love. Let go. Not because you failed, but because you finally chose to be free. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Some of the most powerful lessons in life come when you finally stop forcing things to work. There comes a moment when your soul gets tired, not from lack of effort, but from trying too hard to hold together something that was never meant to stay. We spend so much of our energy chasing, convincing, explaining, and bending ourselves to fit into spaces that don't recognize us. But the truth is, what's meant for you, flow. It doesn't need pressure. It doesn't drain you. It doesn't leave you questioning your worth every day. When something is truly meant for you, it aligns. It feels steady, not chaotic. It nourishes your peace instead of robbing you of it. You don't have to beg for someone to stay who genuinely wants to be there. You don't have to shrink to fit into a relationship, a job, a friendship, or a dream that is in harmony with your truth. If it's right, it'll feel like breathing, not like drowning. Yet we become so conditioned to the struggle that we begin to equate effort with value. We start to believe that unless something is hard, it isn't worth it. That's a lie. There is a difference between effort and force. Healthy relationships require effort, but not the kind that makes you question your dignity or lose your identity. Purpose requires discipline, but not the kind that buries your soul under obligation. When you constantly have to push to keep something alive, it's not thriving, it's surviving. And you deserve more than survival. You deserve relationships that don't make love a negotiation. You deserve work that fuels your passion, not your anxiety. You deserve a life where peace is the baseline, not the reward. Sometimes we stay too long in places we've outgrown because we fear change more than we fear stagnation. But nothing meant for you will ever require you to abandon yourself to keep it. When the right thing comes along, whether it's a person, a calling, or a new season, it will speak your soul's language. It will make space for your presence. It will meet you where you are without demand, and when that happens, you'll look back and wonder why you tried so hard to make the wrong things stay. You don't have to keep chasing, you don't have to keep fixing, you don't have to perform to be loved or strive endlessly just to be seen. Real love sees you without the show. Real purpose rises naturally within you. Real peace feels like home. And all of these things, they flow. They come when you stop gripping life with a clenched fist and start trusting that you are already enough. Let this be the moment where you stop forcing what isn't flowing. Let this be the moment you create space for what's truly yours. Because what's meant for you doesn't need to be dragged into place. It will arrive, it will align, and it will stay. Pain has a way of stopping us in our tracks. It enters like a storm, unexpected, unwelcome, and overwhelming. In the middle of it, we often feel lost, confused, and broken. We wonder what we did wrong. We question our worth. We ask why it had to happen to us. But pain is not a punishment. It's not a sign that you're unworthy or forgotten. It's a redirection, a divine detour pulling you out of a place you were never meant to stay and pointing you towards something far greater. Sometimes we don't move until it hurts too much to stay. We don't change until comfort starts to feel like suffocation. We ignore the quiet whispers from within, the nudges from life, telling us it's time to grow, to heal, to move on. So life sends pain, not to hurt us, but to wake us up. That closed door, that breakup, that loss, it wasn't the end. It was a turning point. A holy pause. A moment where everything fell apart just enough to show you what was never real in the first place. You prayed for strength and life gave you challenges that made you stronger. You prayed for clarity and people were removed who were clouding your vision. You asked for peace and everything that caused your anxiety was shaken loose. At first it may feel like punishment. It may feel like betrayal. But look closer. Pain comes when we've clung too tightly to something that no longer serves us. It's a signal that something needs to shift. Something needs to release. Pain reveals what comfort hides. It shows you who's real. It reveals what matters. It exposes the places where you've been settling. And as much as it hurts, it also clears the path. It pushes you out of toxic cycles and gently forces you to grow into someone you were always meant to become. That's the redirection. It's not cruel, it's sacred. Because through pain you meet your most authentic self. The part of you that survives what was meant to break you. We often see the pain but not the purpose behind it. We remember the tears but not the strength they gave birth to. But every time you've cried yourself to sleep, every time you felt like giving up, every time your heart shattered, it shaped you. It peeled away the illusions, it burned off the layers that weren't truly you, and it set you on a path that brings you closer to your real purpose. Don't curse the pain, don't rush past it, don't numb it away, sit with it, ask it what it's trying to show you, let it teach you, let it refine you. Because pain isn't there to break you, it's there to rebuild you. And one day you look back and realize that what you thought was the end was really just the beginning of your becoming. There's this belief many of us carry, often unconsciously, that taking care of ourselves is somehow selfish, that saying no makes us cold, that creating space makes us unkind, that choosing ourselves means we're abandoning others. But the truth is, choosing yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. In fact, it might be the most loving thing you ever do, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Because you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot keep giving while your soul is starving. We often fall into the habit of overextending ourselves, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all in the name of being good, being loyal, being strong. We show up for everyone but ourselves. We give our energy away freely while denying our own needs. We silence our truth to maintain peace. We sacrifice rest to meet expectations. And slowly, quietly, we begin to disappear. We lose our joy. We lose our voice. We lose ourselves in roles we never questioned because we thought love meant always putting others first. But love, real love, includes you too. You are not selfish for needing space. You are not wrong for wanting rest. You are not unkind for choosing what protects your peace. There comes a point where you have to decide, do I want to be liked for who I pretend to be, or do I want to be loved for who I truly am? That shift, that bold, beautiful, scary shift begins when you choose yourself. When you finally say, I matter too. Choosing yourself means honoring your limits. It means listening to your body when it's tired, your heart when it's aching, your soul when it's restless. It means asking, what do I need? And allowing that answer to be valid, even if no one else understands it. It means walking away from relationships, situations, and patterns that keep you stuck. Not because you're better than anyone else, but because you finally realized your healing is your responsibility. And here's what's beautiful. When you choose yourself, you don't become less loving. You become more whole. You become more present. You stop giving out of obligation and start giving from a place of overflow. You show up with clarity instead of resentment. You set boundaries not to keep people out, but to keep your peace in. And that peace, that's where your power lives. People may not understand your decision to prioritize your well-being. They may label it as selfishness. Let them. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your healing. You don't need permission to care for your own soul. Choosing yourself is not about turning away from love. It's about returning to it, starting with you. If you're in a season of rediscovering your worth, reclaiming your time, and reconnecting with your truth, be proud of that. Be proud that you had the courage to stop betraying yourself just to be accepted. Because choosing yourself is not just a decision, it's a declaration that your life, your joy, your peace, and your voice matter. And that is more than enough. There comes a point in life when you realize that not everyone will understand your decisions, and that's okay. You don't need approval to protect your peace. You don't need permission to walk away from what drains your spirit. We spend too much of our life seeking validation from the outside world, hoping someone else will tell us that we are enough, that we did the right thing, that we made the right choice. But the truth is, real validation doesn't come from outside voices, it comes from within. You are allowed to grow in a direction that others don't understand. You're allowed to set boundaries that others may not agree with. You're allowed to choose peace even if it disappoints people. That doesn't make you selfish. It makes you whole. So many of us were taught to people please, to sacrifice ourselves for the comfort of others, to wear masks so we could be accepted, to stay silent just to keep the peace. But peace at the cost of your authenticity is not peace. It's performance. There's nothing noble about betraying yourself to maintain loyalty to someone who wouldn't do the same for you. Loyalty is beautiful, but not when it costs you your self-worth. Not when it keeps you stuck in places you've outgrown. You don't have to stay in a relationship that diminishes you. You don't have to stay in a job that crushes your passion. You don't have to keep pretending to be okay for people who wouldn't notice if you broke down tomorrow. The need to explain yourself is a weight you no longer have to carry. When you truly begin to honor your own journey, you stop seeking validation from those who were never meant to understand your path. You begin to trust your own voice more than the noise of the crowd. You begin to realize that your worth was never meant to be proven, it was meant to be lived. You are not here to convince others of your value. You are not here to prove yourself worthy of love, success, or respect. You already are. Choosing yourself is not abandonment, it's alignment. It's the decision to come home to who you truly are, instead of chasing approval in places that keep asking you to change. You're not supposed to fit into every room, and not everyone will celebrate your freedom. That's okay. Let them misunderstand you. Let them talk. Let them walk away. The ones meant to walk with you won't need a long explanation to support your peace. If you find yourself in a season where you're letting go of the need to be understood, know this. That's not weakness. That's strength. That's clarity. That's growth. And most of all, that's freedom. Because the moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment you start becoming yourself. And nothing in the world is more powerful than that. There's a kind of silence in life that can shake you. The silence of unanswered prayers, of closed doors, of dreams that seem forever delayed. You sit there wondering if you've been forgotten. You've done the right things, you've stayed faithful, you've held on when it would have been easier to let go. And still the breakthrough hasn't come. Still the waiting continues. But let me tell you something that may save your peace. God's timing is not your timing. And that's a gift, not a punishment. We often operate on deadlines. We tell ourselves things should happen by a certain age, by a certain date, in a certain order. But life doesn't follow our calendars. God doesn't answer to our schedules. That delay you're feeling, that pause that makes you anxious, it's not a denial, it's divine preparation. Sometimes you're not waiting on the blessing. Sometimes the blessing is waiting on you to grow into who you need to be to receive it. You see, if some of the things you've been asking for came too soon, they might crush you. That relationship you begged for could have derailed your growth. That opportunity you thought was perfect may have led you in the wrong direction. God isn't withholding good things from you. He's protecting what's truly meant for you. He sees what your heart can't yet understand. And while the waiting feels heavy, it's in that space where faith is built, trust is deepened, and your roots grow stronger. It's in the delay that character is shaped. It's in the silence that maturity is formed. And while you're counting the days, feeling like nothing's moving, everything beneath the surface is shifting. Sometimes the door doesn't open because it's still being built. Sometimes the answer is no, because something better is being aligned. And sometimes the delay is there because God knows your heart needs healing before your hands receive what they're asking for. Don't let impatience convince you that you've been overlooked. Don't let the silence make you believe you've been rejected. Timing is everything, and what's truly meant for you will not pass you by. It will arrive, not when you demand it, but when you're ready for it, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. So take a breath, release the pressure. Let go of the timeline you've written in your mind. God hasn't forgotten you. Heaven isn't ignoring you. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. And when it finally happens, you realize why it took so long. You'll see how every delay had purpose, how every moment of waiting shaped your readiness, and you'll say with clarity and peace, this was worth the wait. Because what's meant for you doesn't need to be chased or forced. It will come, and when it does, it won't be late, it will be right on time. At some point in life, you stop chasing what hurts and you start protecting what heals. You stop clinging to broken pieces and you start building from wholeness. That's the shift. That's the awakening. You realize that letting go isn't failure, it's freedom. That what flows is meant. And what resists is trying to teach you that pain isn't your enemy, it's your compass. You learn that validation doesn't live in the eyes of others, it rises from within. You stop waiting on deadlines and you start trusting in divine timing. And above all, you begin to understand that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. It's the foundation of everything healthy, everything peaceful, everything lasting. You don't have to carry what's breaking you. You don't have to explain your peace, justify your healing, or apologize for your growth. You are allowed to outgrow, to release, to rise. You are allowed to want more for your life than just survival. And you are worthy of that more. The love that stays, the peace that doesn't come with conditions, the purpose that fits like it was made just for you. So if you find yourself standing at the edge between who you were and who you're becoming, take the step. Let go of what no longer serves your soul. Stop forcing, stop begging, stop performing. Instead, rest, trust, breathe. You are not behind, you are not broken, you are becoming. And what's meant for you, peace, love, purpose, joy, it will never require you to lose yourself to keep it. It will arrive when you no longer chase it, but when you're finally ready to receive it. This is not your breakdown. This is your breakthrough. This is where the healing begins. This is where the real you rises.